Hello, welcome to today's stream of the clock out. I'm super excited because I think this one really helps us move forward, right? So if you are feeling stuck in your career, you don't quite know what to do, you feel undervalued, you don't feel valued at all, maybe that's what you feel. We are talking about it all today with some really specific action items that you can take to get quote unquote unstuck. So welcome in. If you are new here, my name is Mercedes. I am the career love coach, and I host the clock out every single weekday at 6. And my goal here is to create a safe space for Black women to come together to talk about topics that matter to us, specifically in the spaces of career, business, and lifestyle, or other trending topics that we just have going on as needed. So I'm really excited. Hey, Lily. Oh, girl, the consistency. Welcome, Lily. I am super excited to talk to you about this episode today. Now, the clock out, like I said, is a stream. And I really wanted this to be a space where we can come together, clock out of all the stress, clock out of whatever we've got going on at work, and come in here for community. So this is a space that I want to be interactive. I want it to be discussion based. So any questions that you have or any thoughts, anything that you want additional clarity about, like let me know in the comments. And as I open this up on TikTok, I do want to say that I really appreciate your likes. I really appreciate your comments. And I really appreciate you sharing this stream. It definitely, whatever you think, it absolutely helps me get this message out in front of other Black women. Sorry, I thought I turned off my volume on my tablet again. But your engagement really helps. And I thank you for all of the engagement so far because it's really helping this stream to grow. So thank you and welcome in. Okay, so before we get started, you can we'll start off slow, we'll start off a little chill. Let me know in the comments if you feel like you're stuck in your career. Just say yes or no. If you're feeling stuck and you want to share more about why you're feeling stuck, absolutely let me know. I will answer particular specific questions or just things that I think might help you based on what you've shared. But let me know if you are feeling a little bit stuck. We'll go from there. So I mentioned what we're talking about today, getting unstuck in your career and moving forward, right? Stagnant careers are really challenging for Black women. I think the longer that we stay in positions that we feel stuck at, that could either be lack of progression due to titles, salaries. If we are in a toxic environment that we feel stuck in, that over time really compounds and it leads to really big challenges with us being able to feel like we can confidently move into other roles. It hurts our self-esteem. There are a variety of things that can really just help hinder us if we stay too long past the time that we think we should stay. So I'm going to, of course, your girl is always telling us. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about, a time that I felt like I stayed too long, some of the impacts that it made, and then some of the reasons why I think Black women, we just stay too long. Okay. Tisha said, I'm not working anymore, I think. Fair enough. I don't know if this is going to be beneficial for you, Tisha, but welcome to the live because we are talking about moving and advancing our careers today. So I'm a career coach. That means I get to talk to a lot of Black women about how they're feeling about their careers, what's going wrong, the challenges and things like that. So I picked 4. I'm not saying these are the only 4 that come up because I'm also going to share a little bit of a different element in what I tell my story today. So this is not the whole list. So again, if you have a different experience, I would love to hear it. But I'm talking about 4 big reasons that Black women typically will stay in a career or a position longer than they should. And the first one is that they lack clarity. And that could be clarity about what they want to do, or maybe they just don't see a path forward in their career. So then they don't make an effort to move forward with those things. Another thing is fear or confidence. So they're fearful of getting started and maybe failing, or they don't think that they'll be able to successfully make a pivot, but it's kind of like that mindset of lack that they're worried about moving forward. Another one is they feel undervalued, right? So if you're in a position where, again, it's a toxic environment, people speak down to you, you're not affirmed or celebrated in any way, then a lot of times it's hard for you to build that confidence. And so sometimes you just feel like you don't have the skills to thrive or to move elsewhere, right? And yes, it is impart confidence for that, but it is absolutely a different type of, I guess, setback because you're not able to see your value in that in the workplace. And the last one is security and stability. So you feel like you're safe where you are. You feel like there's security there, and because of that, maybe it's even just that you're super grateful where you are. Like maybe things aren't super bad, but you haven't moved anywhere either. And so that stability and that security where you are kind of keeps you stuck where you are. Hey, purpose-minded woman, thanks for coming to the live and for the gifts. I'm just talking and talking and I didn't see them. So thank you to the fam on TikTok. Welcome in. Okay, so I see, so I have a comment from Lily. So Lily said, I stayed at my last job too long because I thought I needed more experience. Oh my gosh, Lily. So this right here is what I'm about to talk about, Lily. But I stayed too long because I thought I needed more experience, but it was just an excuse and I was comfortable. Yep, we often stay too long because we're comfortable. Yeah, so that's part of it too. So we'll definitely talk about that today. So as we start off, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, right? So my story is all set in this environment where I became a supervisor for the first time. So if you don't know this, there is a concept called the broken rung. And the broken rung, somebody said, please never stop talking. That is so sweet. Okay, I'll keep going. I will have to get off at 7, but it's okay. But there is this concept called the broken rung. Welcome to TikTok. Let me make sure you say hello. Make sure you share. Okay, so there's this concept called the broken rung, and it's basically this idea. I mean, it's not just for Black women, but of course, Black women are, we deal with this a lot, right? And it's this idea of basically Black women who are high, like maybe they're high achievers, maybe they're moving up in their career, but they find it almost impossible to move into management. And that theory and that concept is called the broken rung, where basically there are lots of representation at the lower levels of Black women, but as soon as you move up to a higher level where it's managerial or supervisory experience where they're leading others, that's a necessary part of career growth. It's also a lot of times where additional compensation and sometimes fulfillment, right? If you really love coaching and developing others. Hey, CJ. Hey girl, hey. But it's that part of that our career that's critical for us moving forward and being able to move into higher levels of leadership, right? Like a director, vice president, leading an organization. And so that is a consistent challenge. So it's really important for Black women, if they are looking or aspiring to that, to make a shift to basically overcome the broken rung, right? So that's something that I did. I moved into management in 2020. And so here comes the glass ceiling, right? Because between DEI initiatives and between the concept called the glass ceiling, many Black women moved into management for the first time. And so the statistics on that are actually on leanin.com. You can go learn more about the experience of Black women. I often hear people say, you know what? I just didn't know how common this was until I started talking to you or listening to your content. And the fact of the matter is that we do be struggling out here and it's rough. And so seeing the data or hearing other Black women's stories and like the challenges that we face is so important for us to feel validated that it's really not just us. So anyway, go to leanin.com to learn more. So essentially I was one of the Black women that, surpassed the broken rung and then was introduced to the glass ceiling, which is where Black women, I think this theory goes across the experiences of other women as well. But Black women are more likely to be promoted during times of uncertainty, right? And that's because for some reason they want us to fix things. I don't know. What is the psychology behind it? I'm not really sure. Maybe people, they don't want to put somebody in who's qualified in their eyes into this like precarious situation, when often we know the truth is that Black women are often much more qualified for positions, but are often not looked at for those roles until it's a precarious or an uncertain time. So if you're here, if you've ever been in a management role, let me know, did you feel like you were promoted during a precarious time. Whatever that might mean for your role or your organization, let me know. But being promoted during the panorama was absolutely a precarious time. And so in that role, I had a lot of new responsibilities. It was very uncomfortable. Like, I mean, uncomfortable in the way that's like you're growing, right? But I had a lot to learn. I was uncomfortable because I was promoted within the team that I had already worked in, right? So then you have this weird transition where you're going from peer to leader. And in that role, I didn't really feel like I had the best mentorship in that about navigating that successfully, not just even from like a day to day of like the operations, because I already knew those things, but like moving into this role and leading a team. So it was a challenging thing. Hey, Rebel, welcome into the live. And so as I was going through that, right, a lot of my insecurities about maybe not being cut out for management, even though I loved all elements of like helping, guiding, leading, coaching others, we feel uncomfortable. We have imposter syndrome. We second guess what we're doing. And so as I went through that, there were a lot of different dynamics that I had going on there. But ultimately, I kept saying I wasn't ready to leave yet because I didn't have the right experience for the next role, right? So if I'm in a manager position, right, my goal is to say, yeah, I want to move, I want to advance. So what does it mean to be in a director level position? How do I gain the skills and knowledge and experience for that? And that's some of the things that we're going to talk about today of like, how do you do career pathing? How do you figure out the next steps? And I felt like based on what I knew about that director level role that I hadn't had the experience yet. One of the big things was feeling like I had a strategy that I had created because I felt like moving into a leadership role elsewhere, I would need to have a strategy, right? I would need to work on visioning. I would need to have these really high level projects that I could feel that I was proud to basically share, right? And so I felt like because I didn't have those experiences, I couldn't go out there or apply to director level positions. Now, the piece that's really, really important here, and it goes into what we're going to talk about today, is that I stayed too long and not recognizing that I was never going to have the quote unquote experience that I thought I needed to move forward, right? And so a lot of times when we're stuck, especially if our employers choose to not promote us or value us or whatever that looks like in terms of how you see growth, because your definition of growth might not be the same as mine, right? But essentially, if that never comes, we never leave. And so then we stay stagnant and then we continue to second guess ourselves. And we're in this cycle where we start to say, okay, well, how am I going to get this experience? Well, then I guess if I'm not getting it, I'm not qualified for that type of role, or I can't be or do that, right? When in actuality, we do have to take ownership of the process, right? And so as I was in that career and I realized that I wasn't really in that role, and I really was not having the type of experiences that I wanted to grow and feel comfortable about the next steps, I realized that I had to make those experiences myself. And I had to begin to define what it meant for me to be a leader and to grow and to have the right types of experiences to move forward. And so I actually joined a leadership development program. And in that program, they taught you a lot about, leadership skills. They taught you about having kind of like a leadership philosophy, creating a strategy. And from that, I created a strategy that I wanted to see my team accomplish and fulfill. It was a like 3-year strategy, right? Like it was not like a really quickly thing, right? And I think that's part of it of why we stay, because there's always a moving milestone of what's next for us, right? Even if the position's not serving us, right? And there's a variety of ways that positions could not serve you, right? Maybe it's not the right title. Maybe it's not the right opportunities. Maybe it's not the right salary, right? And I think what we have to start doing more often is saying, hey, every time I'm looking at this job, is it serving me? Is this job what I want right now? Is this job going to help me feel fulfilled? Is it going to help me advance my career? Because we often feel like we owe our employer something. Listen to me. We think we owe employers something, but we don't. And so we feel like we have to stay to fulfill some obligation to them, to prove something to them, when in actuality, like we're doing it out of, we're doing it in some way to fulfill some obligation or expectation that somebody has of us that doesn't fit our highest good or expectations for our career, right? And so what I want for you to get from this live is you have to prioritize yourself and you have to take ownership of what's next in your career. You cannot expect other people to do that. So this is the big thing that I'm going to say to you. And it also may be a good reason for you to attend my webinar. The first thing that you have to do is to get clear about what you want out of your career, because if you don't, then you will stay stagnant, right? So there's no way to acknowledge that you are ready to move forward, that you need somewhere else to go, unless you know that it's not in alignment, okay? And I'm talking about some of that in my webinar. So if you haven't signed up, make sure you do that, okay? So there's a QR code here. You can sign up right now or later, or you can go to the link in my profile or the description of this live. Okay, I need a sip of coffee. Whew. I can't sip coffee well. Okay, so again, we're going through 4 reasons and different things that you can do if you're stuck in this place of like, why are you staying? So the first is lack of clarity. The second is fear or lack of confidence. The third is that you've been undervalued. And the fourth is security or stability. Okay. As we go on, let me know. Are there any other reasons that you stayed at a job? I'm waiting. No, I'm just kidding. But let me know. Okay, so for lack of clarity, I think, again, I mean, the lack of clarity means that you don't move, right? It means that I don't know what I should do next. I don't know what my career path is. I don't know the next part of my journey. And so for that reason, I do not move. Like, that's really clear, right? Could be a promotion, could be a title, could be that you don't even want to be in your career path anymore, but you're not comfortable saying that. Yeah. We have somebody saying bye. I don't know what that means. What are you saying, Julia? Okay. So if you are in this case, there are a couple of things that you can do. One of the ones that's always exciting for me, because I typically know what career path I want to be in. And that, for instance, when I was moving through my job search, I knew that I loved human resources. I knew the areas of human resources. And then when I switched over to DE&I, I know the career path for DE&I. Like, what is the projection upward? Now, I know I have a lot of more understanding of that because I'm in human resources, but essentially, if you're not in HR, you might have to do some more research. So I would say if you don't know what you're doing next, then your goal should be, okay, so if you know that you like your current field or what your current, like the career trajectory that you're already in, then your goal is to research what the path is, right? So we have a plethora of information in the world right now. So you can absolutely go online and look up what are the career paths for, this thing. You could ask Chat GPT, Chat Black GPT, whichever GPT you're using. But also, what I really love doing is going on LinkedIn, because on LinkedIn, you can see real people and their real career path. And a lot of the times we think, oh, well, we can't get there because we don't have the perfect career path. And what is so inspiring about looking at real people and their real career paths is being able to say, oh, I saw that they kind of took a little side quest, or maybe they had a career gap, or maybe there were things that I'm worried about in my career. And like, now I know how they describe their skills. I know what they've done. I know how they've done it, which, jobs they went through. And I absolutely love that, because then you can start to build a professional development plan around that, right? And so one of the things that I find from this exercise, so we're talking about how to move forward, right? Whatever you see as a trend, right? So maybe again, taking me, right? If I looked at diversity, equity, and inclusion positions and I found, oh, okay, I'm at a manager, maybe the next position is an associate manager or a director, right? What do those directors do? What, like, their duties, right? Not just like, what do they do, right? They're obviously a director. But like, what are the duties that they do? What experiences that they have? How do they describe their skills? Because that's what I can do to essentially help to build my own career around this, by basically engaging and learning some of those skills, right? So I said earlier on, I knew that creating a strategic plan and having that type of visioning was crucial for me as a leader to grow. And so I took the time to gain that skill to say I was able to do that. So that helped me be able to feel like I was able to scale to the next part of my career, right? Even if it was in a different field. And so, again, thinking about our career path, what's next, and kind of figuring out what those titles are is a great way. Then you have a focus, right, for what you're learning or how you're writing your resume or what type of position you're looking for. Thank you for all the roses on TikTok. I appreciate you. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the comments really quick. So LinkedIn users, sorry, it doesn't tell me who everyone is. So it tells me who somebody is. So if I know you, I'm sorry. I'm glad you're here. So I was clear on what I wanted, but I couldn't find it. The role. Okay, so that's interesting. So I find that sometimes now I don't know what the position is or what the title is, but sometimes I find that when we can't find the role, it's actually because we're looking too specifically in the position, right? So, for instance, when I was conducting my job search and I had moved into looking for diversity, equity, inclusion positions, I found that like I couldn't find a lot of positions, and it was because DEI positions are all titled differently. Some of them are called diversity, some of them are called inclusion, some of them are called engagement, some of them are called DEI or JEDI or idea, right? And so there was no particular one term in terms of job title that I could find. And then they all had different types of like modifiers like specialists or managers or coordinators or whatever, right? And so I don't necessarily know if that's why you can't find it, but just based on what I know now, I would say try and expand your search terminology to find something, yeah, to just find a broader range of positions and titles out there. And maybe that could help. But if you want to share more information about what your challenges were, let me know. In my particular case, I ended up just stopping with all the specific titles, and I would just type in diversity because a lot of the times it was really like easy to find it that way. I love when I have like super weird messages. It's weird. Okay, there we go. All right. Lily says I have a combination of all 4 points. I need a plan. I lack confidence because my supervisor was not encouraging me, and I stayed because I had job security. Okay, Lily. You said we're knocking it out of the park. All 4. I love that. I love the awareness, first of all. Okay, so in this case, right, hopefully that gave you some additional clarity about what to look for, how to look for potential jobs. But let's just say you you have no idea like what you want to do, where you want to go. And I think career exploration is what you need to focus on and getting clear about what excites you. I know there are lots of different career coaches out there who will teach and train about transferable skills or saying, okay, we'll make a list of all of your skills and then just pursue that and kind of do some research about what skills are needed. But over here, we're about Black Woman Bliss. Okay. We're about bliss. We're about enjoying our roles and enjoying what we do. And so I always encourage people to not just seek what they would be good at, but also seek what would give them joy in the positions that they're looking for. What would help them feel fulfilled? What would they like doing each day, or even higher than that, love doing each day? Okay. And that's what I want for you. So I would say if you have never done this before and you've never done anything that helped you discover new career paths before, that's where I would start. Just start by looking. You could do things like, what do people in my role move into, right? So if I was a recruiter, I could Google something like, where do recruiters go? Like what is their next career path? You could also do things like if you like, so for me, I love strategy and I love continuous improvement. And I love creating like innovative practices. So I might Google like a combination, like what jobs require or are good for these skills, right? And you'll see a lot of things come up. Again, you can use AI to help you with this, and it'll give you a lot of options. And then the last thing is like career assessment, or excuse me, like personality assessments. So you could do something like, for instance, some of my clients will do a Gallup strengths test to just kind of get a better understanding of like what their strengths are. This is really important if you're like, I don't know what my strengths are. I have no idea what I love doing, or I have no idea what I'm good at. And doing a strengths quest kind of it starts you on that journey by helping you see like what you like or what you don't like, or what you're good at, or what you're not good at. And it kind of helps you to get a little bit more clear I also like just taking some career assessments, right? So if you just Google like free career assessment, like go find them. I'm sure there's some paid ones that you can do, but like your goal here is just to explore. And like for me, I absolutely love doing like things like really legit personality tests like Myers-Briggs, right? So my Myers-Briggs is an INFJ. If you look at the career paths or fields in there, they're usually people who are passionate about what they do. They care about their impact in the world. INFJs typically have kind of a fluid understanding of the world and kind of see all these different perspectives, but also have kind of heart and empathy behind that. So fields or careers that kind of lean into that, right? Makes sense for my personality type. So you might have a personality type that's a little bit different, right? Like maybe you're very analytical. And so more data driven or science or math jobs might be a more interesting thing for you based on who you are, right? So like just explore. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it today because I did talk about this in the art of the career pivot. And then I think I did another one about career clarity. Anyway, there is an Ikigai method. So go back and watch a couple of my other streams. I did talk about it. Also, it's here in my journal. If you want to have journaling prompts about that, you can download this. It's on my website. It's free. You can get access to it. I always do this every single live. I'm like, get that journal. And it's like back there and I forget to get it. Anyway, so these are all ways to kind of figure out clarity. Now, what is the part that's going to help you make a decision, right? What it truly I love that. We have some comments on TikTok that I can't really show you, but that's a great suggestion. Love strength, ISTJ, INTJ. I know the your Myers-Briggs changes, and so does your strengths quest based on what you all are going. I got some just interesting comments. You really just cannot. You just really don't know what's going to come up on YouTube. It's just weird things. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So these are some things that you can kind of consider as you're exploring, and just be okay. I would say, in your job search, you want to figure out what it is for you that's going to be the definition of what helps you make a decision, right? Because it doesn't mean anything if you look at all these different options, but you never kind of make a decision. And so for me, one of the things that is central to me is like, what is it that I love? What am I excited about? Not necessarily thinking about all of my skills, because we're going to talk about the skills piece in a minute, right? We can build on skills, right? We can't really shift passions. I mean, not that it's not fluid and that your passion is always going to be the same thing, right? But it's a little bit more, I think, of an innate thing rather than just something that can shift. So if you're going to go for this and your goal is career bliss, Black Woman Bliss, then go for what excites you. Go for what feels like it kind of feeds what you need in your heart. Okay. Okay. Any questions out there? Absolutely let me know. But what is something, I was trying to have like a little bit of engagement question. Share maybe a personality type, maybe a strength that you have in the comments. I shared a couple of mine. I would love to know what you all feel like your strengths are. Welcome to the live, B. Okay. So the next one is just kidding. The next one is fear and confidence, right? And I think if you have fear or lack of confidence in your job search, it's critical that you focus on your mindset first and really listen to the beliefs that you're telling yourself, right? In my last career pivot, I could have absolutely believed that I was not going to have the right skills to move from recruitment into diversity, equity, inclusion. There are a lot of times when we tell ourselves no first before we allow anybody else to do this. So I always say, like, if you were launching your job search, if you were doing a career pivot, then like go for it. Let the world tell you no. Apply to at least 100 positions. And if you do not get a response, then you might need to reconsider like, okay, what is my angle or what is my branding, right? But at the end of the day, like if you just try it and see what happens, like there's no problem with that, right? Like why not? Aw, thank you, B. I'm glad that you got some Black Woman Bliss inspo. That is my whole thing. Not the over this job. I know. I was over it too. So anyway, I hope this is helpful in your pivot and considering your new roles and some Black Woman Bliss. So if you are here for the Black Woman Bliss, go ahead and sign up for this webinar. Okay, it's in the bio. It's in the bio. Okay, so talking about the fear, the confidence, right? at least for me, I have to start by saying like, what are the fears that I have, right? And maybe the fears are that like, oh, the job that I really want, I won't be successful, or my supervisor, my boss, doesn't think highly of me, so therefore I can't move. Like I should just be stuck here. I should just be thankful for this job, because I'm not going to be able to be successful anywhere else, right? And that's totally not true. It's often not true. And like I always say this, like Black women understanding our skills, our knowledge, our abilities, our strengths will never be in favor of an employer, right? Because as soon as we know our strengths, as soon as we know our skills, our abilities, our talents, we're going to ask for the appropriate pay. We're going to ask for the promotion, or we're going to leave for somebody else who will give it to us, right? That's the energy that I want for all of us. Hey, Lily on TikTok, different Lily than YouTube Lily. I got 2 Lilies now. But essentially, like, us not believing in our skills or our abilities is essentially what keeps us stuck for longer, right? And so we have to start building up our mindset, beliefs in a way that helps us build confidence, right? And so what I want you to do is, if you have a belief right now, maybe the belief is that I don't have the right skills or I don't have the right abilities, I want you to start finding evidence of that. So what is the evidence for that? Is all of my evidence based on my supervisor, or is it the work that I actually do, right? If my customers or my peers or my colleagues, or even the work that I see myself do, if it's great work, right? If I make changes, I make impact, like my work is transformational, other people recognize me other than my supervisor, well, I need you to balance the evidence, okay? Because not all evidence is good evidence. That would be thrown out in the court of law, okay? We don't need that here, okay? We're throwing it out. The supervisor is trash. And so, like, I want you to start really thinking about what evidence you have to say, like, I'll be good at this career pivot, or I'll be good at the work that I do in my next role, or whatever it is, whatever you have clarity about going, right? And so take time to collect the evidence. And if we don't take time to really review the evidence, then we allow the thoughts and beliefs that other people have about us to impact us. And that's not going to help us move forward. Okay. And then you know how employers like to gaslight Black women in the workplace. Okay. So, okay, if you feel a little gaslit, if you see yourself questioning your skills or your abilities, okay. Find the evidence, collect it. And I think the other thing is, after you figure out what that evidence is, I do want you to start hyping yourself up, right? Talking about how great your skill set is, talking about all of the transformational, amazing things that you do, because you need that going into a job search, right? So the goal of us talking about like how to not stay stagnant, how to move forward is really this idea or this goal that we're going for the next thing, right? And that could mean, we'll talk about it too, but that could mean going for the promotion, right? That could mean going for, asking for additional pay for your work. That can mean launching your job search, right? Based on wherever we are. Okay. Just got such weird things on here. YouTube, I need you to send this out to the right people. So what are you doing over there? It's me and Lily. Okay. So the next part, so yes, start building confidence around that. And I think one thing I'll say about building confidence before I move on is this idea of saying like, okay, so I know that this is a skill that I need for this new position, right? So let's say, I'm just using strategy because this is what I'm talking about. But let's just say the goal is that you are able to build a strategy for the next position, right? And so maybe you're sitting here saying like, okay, I don't know how to build a strategy. So maybe you're going to go take some courses. Maybe you're going to go get the skills that you needed by asking for on-the-job training or taking on a project so you can gain those skills, right? That's how we move forward. But many times, Black women, I'm talking to you, listen to me. Many times, okay, we will be like, I don't have this skill. No, I can't do that. I've never done that. And then y'all get on a phone call and talk to me. And I was like, so you've never done it this way? You've never done that? And you'll be like, oh, wait, I did do that. Yeah, girl, I did that. Yeah, go ahead and get the job. Okay, you've already done that. Go get the job. Okay, so you have to be really honest with yourself. And I know branding and I know talking about your own skills and kind of hyping yourself up is hard. And so have somebody that you trust or that you love, or who really sees the best of you, whether that's a colleague, a family member, or a friend, have them help you with this, right? Or you can always get a career coach. Come talk with me. I will hype you up. I will be your number one hype lady. Promise. Okay. So what do we got next? We got the undervaluing. I talked about it a little bit, because it is this experience of, when I'm going to my supervisor and I say, oh, I think, I want to grow into management. Like I really had a supervisor one time that I had a direct report. And I was like, oh, I think this direct report would really be great for supervising. They have a great track record and the projects that they've led. I would really love to see them grow. How can we provide greater opportunities for this individual, so that they can, be on a track to management and leadership. And I had the feedback that the leader at the time didn't understand what that person would have done to demonstrate that they would be a leader. And this is what, as Black women, we deal with every day, right? We're leaders, whether that's ego or bias or discrimination, whatever type of view you want to take about why we don't see potential in Black women in our growth. You could take whatever approach there, right? But I'm saying that a lot of times we are undervalued, and it has more to do with the other person than it has to do with us. And so we have to kind of detach ourselves from that. And it's not that we can't accept feedback, and it's not that we that we can't be open or transparent about things that we want to grow or how we want to grow, but we do have to be careful about who we are listening to in this. And often we have to evaluate whether the person giving us that feedback is looking out for themselves, whether they are secure in themselves, right? Because they might not be trying to look out for themselves, but they're threatened by us. That happens to us as Black women all the time, especially when we are truly demonstrating excellence. Maybe sometimes we're outperforming our supervisor. And in that case, it is challenging for us to receive the feedback or the affirmations that we want, right? And so sometimes we'll do something, we'll go above and beyond. We won't get any positive feedback, right? And like I said, sometimes that doesn't have anything to do with you. And so in this case, it's very much like the confidence building, but you need to begin to understand the level of your own work and start to evaluate that. And if you do not have anyone around you in the workplace, join a community, network with other professionals in your field, right? So that you can get a better understanding of what is needed to grow. And also so that you can be inspired by them, right? Like your ability to connect and grow with other Black women and be inspired by them is something that's going to help you move forward. I know that like me being inspired by other Black women to build businesses or to see their growth in their career is something that keeps me going and keeps me inspired, for how we're changing the world despite everything out there. And so I want that for you. So if I were to say, if you're feeling undervalued right now, or you don't feel like you're qualified or can do the job, a lot of times community will help you with that. Okay. Okay. This last one is about security and stability. Okay. So a lot of times people I will see, oh my gosh, y'all will stay at a job because you're like, oh, I've been here for 10 years. I was like, you've been here 10 years. How long have you been happy? 10 years. Okay, well then it's not security, right? Because if you every single day are triggered, if every single day you are drained or miserable or whatever that is, that's not stability. I mean, it might be a financial stability, but I think overall, sometimes when we're in these roles and we don't move, right? I'm going to say this, right? The culture that we have in the workplace of leadership, of pay, is that we're not going to keep up with market pay by staying in the same position unless they do market pay revisions, right? And I feel like there's not a lot of organizations that do that. And sometimes they may do that because they don't want you to leave. But they don't do it all the time. So you're still lagging, right? So I've had organizations give me a market pay increase, but I still kind of got the 3% next time. And I was like, this is not keeping up with my skill set, my abilities, my contributions. And so that's not a reason to stay, love. That 3% is a reason to stay. But my question to this, and I would say, the biggest part of like moving through this is to ask yourself what could be better, right? And I get it. Like sometimes we want to be grateful for what we have. We want to not, we want to appreciate what we have, but also there's nothing wrong with saying I'm so grateful for what I have today, but I would making more money do for my career. Oh, well, I love my position and I love this team, but another team, or maybe if I could lead a team, or maybe if I could do higher level work that really excites me, right? Like you truly do deserve to do work that excites you, that you want to do, that you're excited to do every day, right? And so taking action to do that is, I think, something that we all deserve to have so that we can move forward in our careers. So I'm going to open up for questions in just a moment. I will share a little bit more tangible steps that you can take based on where you are right now. I talked about a couple of them as we went through, but let me know if you have any questions. But I think my question, I have questions for you, but please let me know if you have any thoughts about, what resonated the most, where you might want to go in your career, and those types of things. And then any questions that you have for me as a career coach. Okay, so if you're sitting here, you're like, okay, I've heard all of this, Mercedes, like, what do I truly do next? So if you have lack of clarity, I want you to leave this call and I want you to take one of those exploration attempts, right? Go to look up people in your field, right? Or go to do an assessment of some sort, or an evaluation, or ikigai, right? And to move forward, you need to make a decision on what you're moving forward with. And you need to launch a job search, or you need to ask for what it is that you want. So if you're going to launch a job search, what does that mean? You're going to go out there and find a type of position that aligns with the position that you're interested in, right? That you love. Oh my gosh. Y'all playing over there on YouTube. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so you're either going to look at the position, you're going to look at a type of position that you want to pursue, and you're going to start to brand yourself, and you're going to write a resume, right? You're going to move forward. That's how you're not stagnant. You're going to say get clear on where you're going, and you're going to launch that job search. On the other hand, if you like where you are, maybe you really like the organization that you're at, you like your team, your supervisor, leadership, whoever, but you notice that there's not really a way forward. You're welcome, Melissa. You're welcome. You notice that you don't quite know the way forward, right? So in the beginning of my career, I worked in an HR team that was only 2 of us. And I looked around and I said, well, you're not leaving anytime soon. What am I doing here? I don't know. I'm not, where's the rest of my career at? Like, how am I supposed to grow here? And often we limit ourselves based on what we see versus like what we can create. Okay. And so sometimes you can create a case. So I'm going to do another YouTube video this week talking about how you can increase your income. That video will be talking about how you can build a case at work. And so if you see that there's opportunity where you are, or you feel like you should be promoted based on the work that you do, you can create a case, right? And that can be a way for you to move forward while also staying in a place that you really like, right? There's no reason to leave sometimes. And a lot of times the other people just aren't thinking about it, right? We always think, oh, our supervisor knows that we want a promotion. They do not know you want a promotion, girl. They don't know. Ask for it. Okay. If you came here and you're like, I have a fear or I have confidence challenges, I want you to start journaling, whatever that is. Again, like, you can use this as a way of starting to journal. It helps you move through those limiting beliefs and take action, right? And if that is the case, then I need you to commit to taking an action. And what that looks like is saying, I feel afraid of moving forward in my career because I don't have the right skill set. And you reframe that and say, actually, I went and I evaluated all of the things that I do in my career. Oh, I see there's a question. Oh, I'm going to tell you, B, when the webinar is. Thank you for asking. So you want to say, okay, if I don't think I have the right skills, I'm either going to say, actually, I do have the right skills because I've built the evidence and I found out what the evidence is of me having those skills. Or I'm going to go get those skills. I'm going to create a plan right now for me to get those skills. It could be education. Okay, Black women, y'all don't need no more degrees. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. You do not need any more degrees. Okay. Go take a Coursera course. Go get on LinkedIn. Go do some on-the-job training. Do not get any more degrees. Go to Hillman Talk University on TikTok. I need y'all to not get any more degrees. Okay? Stop it. Okay, so sorry. That being said, but I want you to start to reframe those things and like re-say, how do I get those skills? How do I get those abilities? And then I want you to take action. So if you are fearful, if you lack confidence, guess what? You will overcome by taking action, right? So when I wasn't sure that I was going to actually be able to pivot successfully into DE&I, you know what I still did? I still got my resume together. I did it very uncomfortably. I still applied. I did it very uncomfortably. I bombed my first DE&I interview where the lady was like, tell me what DEI programs you have. And I was like, well, like I don't have a DEI program, but I did this. And like, that girl, that's a lie. I did plenty of DEI programs, but I just wasn't comfortable talking about it. I know, I'm just dragging myself. Thank you for laughing with me, B. But like, you know, but I still took action. And then over time, it became more comfortable for me to show up to a DE&I interview and I successfully got the job, right? So thanks for the likes, B. Those of you out there, be like B, be more like B. Go ahead and like this live. Send it to a friend or comment to say you're liking the live. Okay. But that's how, in my opinion, we're all different people, right? But I think the best way to overcome fear is by taking action. And there's, you know, that term, do it scared. Just do it scared. Okay. Okay, I'll pause to say, so my Black Woman Bliss webinar, there's a QR code here. There are 3 dates. The only one that I remember is February 3rd or 4th. I have ADHD. I do not remember. There are 3 dates. So essentially, if you go scan the QR code or you go to my bio, there are 3 dates that you can join the webinar. It's 1 hour. I think one's on a Tuesday, one's on a Sunday, one's on like a Thursday or Monday or something. Like I just tried to pick various dates. I should put those there. I should put them in the little thing. I'll do that next time so everybody knows. But I just picked a variety of dates so that anyone who wanted to attend could. So essentially, if you scan the QR code below, you go to my website or you go to the description wherever you're watching or the link in my profile, you will find out how to register. Yeah, I know. I should have the dates be. That's okay. But yeah, I'm talking about in that webinar, my Black Woman Bliss Blueprint, which is really this process that I went through over the last couple of years, years to basically take all of the desires that I have for myself in my life and to create a career around that and to create a business around that where I feel like I'm kind of like I'm living my dream a little bit right now and it feels good. and I love what I get to do. So I'm a full-time business owner right now. Now, if you say, hey, I don't plan to be on business, like this webinar is still going to help you because it's about generating that alignment more so than it is about a particular doing it in business or career, right? Okay, because we're covering both. Okay. If you are in a space where you are feeling undervalued and that has you feeling stuck, I need you to start to think about why you feel undervalued. Is it that you feel undervalued because you don't have the title? Is it because your supervisor directly? Is it because your pay, right? Because sometimes we're in a great title that we like the job, but we just don't feel like we're getting paid enough, right? And getting unstuck in that is saying, okay, how do I advocate for what I need, right? So a lot of us will sit in a position or will sit with the supervisor, but we will not ask for the raise. We will not ask for the title, or we will not ask for the additional responsibilities that was to grow, right? And I'm going to say this. I know it's going to be hard to hear. Sometimes it is in your greatest good. It is in your highest good for you to take on some roles and responsibilities without the pay. I know. Just stay with me. But your goal is that you have to move, right? You're going to take that on so that you can gain that skill set so that you can pivot elsewhere for the money that you deserve or you want, especially if your current organization is going to do that. or it's going to give you the leverage to ask for what you want, right? It's going to give you the leverage to say, I've been doing all of this, I've been accomplishing this, which is what I did, right? I did that. I talked about this in a different, I'll probably talk about it in the increasing your income live, right? But you can take on those skills, you can take on those duties so that you can grow, so that you can use that as a marketable skill later. Don't be upset with me. I'm just a messenger. Okay. Sometimes this works. It's a good strategy. I stand by it. Y'all will go get a whole degree. Y'all will go get a whole degree before you take on some work without additional pay. I'm just saying one's cheaper. Okay. I'm sorry. But job shadowing, going to go do those things are helpful, right? Anyway, so if you're feeling undervalued, identify what you feel how you feel undervalued, and then advocate for that, right? So sometimes we can get that in that other role, but sometimes maybe we do want a different role where we can just be paid more. Thank you for all of the likes on the live. I appreciate you. Not me being at 1,000 likes on TikTok. I love y'all. Thank you. Okay. And the last thing is security or stability. So if you're one of those people that you just stayed at a job for 10 years, 20 years, whatever. I don't even care if it's 5 years, because I thought I stayed for too long in that other role, which was 3 years, right? Because it led to me not having the title and pay increases that I think I probably would have been at in a different space. Now, I'm not saying I regret I don't regret the journey. I ultimately love what I experienced and who I was and learned. But essentially, like if you're not able to, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I lost my train of thought. It's okay, we're back. All I'm saying is that I want you to be able to see what it is that you want that's a little bit different in your career, and then start to build beliefs around that, right? So if you're saying right now where I am is not serving me because it's not the right pay, or because I don't have there's a thing that says put user in timeout, but I'm not going to put you in timeout, Patrick, but I'm going to block. What are y'all doing over there? I don't know. YouTube, look at me. Send me to somebody else. I just can't with these comments. Sorry. Okay. Distractions. Excuse me if you heard that. I get all congested when I talk too much. Okay. So if you are feeling like you're undervalued, or that you are in a job that feels just too stable, I want you to think about what could be better, right? Could I have a better supervisor? Could I have better pay? Could I like what I'm doing more? Because I think those things and getting in touch about like what you really want will kind of motivate you to get there, right? And so if you're just in a space where you're comfortable, I know what I'm doing every day, I know what I'm going to, I'm worried about what would happen over there. Like, oh, maybe I won't like the boss. Maybe I won't like the supervisor. Maybe I won't like the work. Well, if you get clear about what you want that's different and better, right, then you can go ahead and explore and pursue those things, right? So if that's you, if you are feeling stuck because you just don't see another option that's better for you, then like love, just go ahead and think about what's better, right? And then you can kind of set a plan to pursue that again, whether that's a job search or a different moving up in the position. So all of that being said, these are my goals, or these are my thoughts about, how you can move up, especially if you're feeling stagnant. And I hope you found it helpful. I do not see any other questions in the chat. I'm always here and available for questions, so let me know. If not, I'll do another plug for the webinar while I'm waiting for you all to share. If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so I mentioned while I wait, see if you have any questions. Oopsies, I scrolled away on my own live. So I'll wait for any questions. So a while ago, I created a community. It's called the Career Love Community, and I created it as a safe space for Black women to come together to work on their career. Now, as I feel like I've grown as a business and now I'm full-time in my business, I really feel like I've learned a lot of the skills and a lot of the mindset shifts that I had to make in order to successfully build my business. So I'm relaunching the community in February. So very soon. It's actually a little bit scary. I keep trying to remind myself, oh my gosh, it's happening in February. But essentially in February, I am relaunching the community where it will be a safe space. So there will be community spaces for you to share updates, connect with other Black women who are also working on their career and their business. And I'm also essentially delivering a brand new training portal where I am talking about my Black Woman Bliss framework essentially. And so what I'm doing in this webinar is really starting off that launch process. So you can essentially join the webinar here. So you can scan the QR code, you can go to the link in my bio, or if you're on LinkedIn or YouTube, you can actually see the link directly in, the description. So I would love for you all to attend if you feel like you could learn, if you feel like you're not in alignment, if you feel like you don't find your work fulfilling, if you feel like your business hasn't been really growing or you haven't been able to launch it the way that you want. And ultimately, like what I want is for just Black women to be happy, Black women to love what we do, love our work, love our businesses, and be able to have the lifestyle that we love, like have enough money, be financially free, be able to have the tools and resources that we often don't receive from people we think we should receive them from, such as supervisors or HR professionals or whoever in the world. So anyway, all of that being said, I hope to see you at the webinar. If you are watching this later, the replay on YouTube or LinkedIn, you are always welcome to ask me any other questions that you have. But this has been really great, and I love you all for hanging out with me for an hour. As always, I do the the clock out every weekday at 6. So I will have another one tomorrow. And this week I'm covering topics about increasing your income, diversity, equity, inclusion. So a couple of Black women in my community have really been asking, like, okay, what does this mean for diversity, equity, inclusion, and how can we continue to do this even if it's banned? And the fact of the matter is we can. Okay, we absolutely can do that. And the last one is to attract our dream clients. So if you are here and you want to build a business and you have no idea how to get in, eyes from your ideal clients and how to connect with them and how to get them in your world, I am going to be talking about building lead magnets to attract your dream clients. Yeah, we're talking about all the things. So anyway, I hope that I will see you tomorrow, ladies. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you all. And also, hopefully, I'll see you at the webinar. Okay, bye. I don't know where the end button is, but I'll find it.